Kaeya is one of my favourite characters in the game, and he's got a new skin out this patch, so let's look at some teams for him. I've gone with a Hyper Fridge team because that's the newest and most popular Kaeya team at the moment. Hyper Fridge teams are where you mix Hyper Bloom and Freeze. It's a comfy team because Cookie heals, Xingqiu heals and mitigates a bit of damage, and Freeze reduces the enemy's movement. With Kaeya not being on field, he could even take advantage of a Harbinger of Dawn effect here with his HP not dropping under 90%. Nahida can hold Magic Guide too, which is a 3-star weapon we get from our pulls. And with it dealing increased damage against opponents affected by Electro and Hydro, it will perform close to a signature weapon in this team. Next we'll look at a Fridge team. Fridge teams are Hyper Fridge teams without Electro. They're just Bloom and Freeze combined. I like this team because if at any point you feel Nahida isn't dealing enough damage, Kaeya and Kazuha have relatively short cooldowns on their skills so you can play freely with a bit of quick swap. If you don't have Kazuha, Sucrose works too. If you have Yelan, you can even put her in because even though she has slightly less Hydro application than Xingqiu, it doesn't matter too much in Freeze teams, and she has a passive that will increase the on-field character's damage. Give her 4B's emblem and a Favonius Warbow, and you'll find she has a lot of burst damage and uptime too. Before we start looking at more Hydro teams, let's break it up a little bit with a different element. With his Melt team, you have Pyro Resonance for extra attack, even more attack from Bennett, and you can build less energy recharge on everyone, instead opting for more damage-orientated stats, because Kaeya and Rosaria battery each other, and Bennett will battery Xiangling. There isn't a standout driver, so you can quick swap between them all and spam skills. Rosaria aside, you can get all these characters in the constellations from Paimon's bargain store, which is nice, because it means the team will just keep getting stronger. Xiangling having uptime on a burst is important, so make sure she has the catch and 4P's emblem and you'll be good to go. Going back to Hydro reactions is his more traditional Freeze team. The thing I like most about this team is the flexibility. Let's use this 4-star team as a foundation. You can start to improve it by swapping out Sucrose for Kazuha and even Yelan for Xingqiu. From there, you have options for a defensive unit between Kokomi, Layla, Diona or Jean, and you could even stick in Rosaria, Shenhe, Mona or Xingqiu instead of Kazuha. Cryo Resonance gives extra crit rate, Hydro Resonance gives extra HP, Anemo gives Viridescent Venera. With his going to Fontaine next, the region of Hydro, I imagine this team will get a lot more options too. I'll even be dropping a Fontaine preparation guide in a few days, so subscribe if you want to see that when it drops. This team's not as strong as the previous one, but I like Candace, so I thought I'd give her a go. The talent levels don't affect a Hydro infusion for other characters, so you don't need to worry about them. Just make sure she has plenty of HP because a passive will give extra damage to the on-field character based on every 1000 points of HP Candace has. Fortunately, there's a 3-star pole arm we get from her pulse called Black Tassel. It gives HP as the secondary stat and it doesn't need refinements. Kazuha has a flexer, so if you don't have him or you want to use him in your other team, you could go for Sucrose, Yelan, Xingqiu, Mona or another Cryo character. Mono Cryo isn't the strongest team in the game, but it's definitely one you could play around with. If you want Kaeya to be the on-field DPS, you could pair him with Chongyun and then fill out the other slots with Kazuha and one of Layla or Diona. If you want him off-field, you could swap Chongyun out for Ayaka or Ganyu. You even have the option to swap Kazuha out for Rosaria or Shenhe if you have her. Do you notice how we're talking about a lot of 5-stars here? It's an expensive team to make work, so I don't recommend pulling anyone just to play it. But if you have these characters, why not give it a go? It's also worth noting you can build less energy recharge on everyone because of all the cryo particles. Physical's my least favourite element in the game, but there are a lot of options, so I'll go through them quickly. I only advise playing Superconduct with him if you're a massive Kaeya simp and have the dedication to commit time to optimizing his build. A positive though is that there are loads of swords you can use on him, including Prototype Rancor, which we all get given to us for free, and can craft refinements for free too. You could pair him with Cookie for Electro healing and the tenacity buff. Dory's an option too, but she's ugly. If you haven't activated Bennett's C6, he's also an option. Fischl and Beidou work well as a pair. Rosaria for crit rate and the physical resistance shred from a C6, or Yunjin to buff his normal attacks. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give Kaeya a 7.5. I've got the pros and cons on screen now talking about my reasons behind that score. If you want to know how to build Layla, or what teams to use her in, definitely check out my new guide for her coming out in a few days. I'll also be dropping a Fontaine preparation guide soon. Subscribe if you want to see that, and enjoy playing Kaeya.